There is a certain kind of silence that only exists far from land. Not the gentle quiet of a sleeping town, not the muffled hush of snowfall, but a wide, breathless emptiness that presses against your ears until you begin to hear your own pulse. I learned that silence years ago on a late autumn crossing in the North Atlantic, when the tourist season had ended and the ferries ran nearly empty. It was the kind of night that feels ordinary at first. The sky hung low and colorless, a slate ceiling stretching endlessly above the dark water. The air smelled of salt and engine oil. A few passengers lingered on deck, bundled in thrift store coats and knit caps, scrolling through their phones, complaining about spotty reception. The deck lights flickered faintly, as they often do in damp weather, nothing unusual, nothing memorable. And then the fog came in, not a dramatic wall of white, not the cinematic roll you see in films. It slid across the water like a thought you can't quite shake. Thin at first, then thicker, until a horizon vanished and the world shrank to the length of the ship itself. Even the engine seemed to dull, its steady rhythm swallowed by the damp air. Someone laughed uneasily. A crew member muttered something about typical October. Another passenger said, "At least it's not snow." The normal chatter of people who believe in explanations. We were used to lighthouses along that route. You'd see them blinking patiently from distant rocks, reliable as a clock. But that night, through the fog, a light appeared where there should have been none. It wasn't steady. It flared, bright enough to stain the fog orange. At first I thought it was another vessel signaling distress. The glow pulsed, faded, then returned, brighter and brighter still. It flickered in a way that felt alive, not mechanical, not electric. It had the restless motion of flame. Someone near the railing said, "Is that a fire?" The captain's voice crackled over the speaker system, calm but clipped. "Remain where you are. We are assessing a visual anomaly." A visual anomaly. The light shifted again, and for a moment, just a moment, the fog thinned enough for us to see shape. It was a ship. Not a modern tanker, not a sleek yacht, but something older in its outline. Tall masts, rigging strung like skeletal fingers against the sky. The entire vessel shimmered as if its hull were coated in molten glass. Flames climbed its sides without consuming it. They moved in silence. No smoke, no sparks carried by wind, just fire, suspended. And it was drifting across our path. I remember the way the deck fell utterly quiet then. Even the casual cynics stopped talking. Even the man who had been live streaming the fog to his followers lowered his phone. The burning ship did not behave as fire should. The flames did not spread outward. They did not collapse the structure. They seemed contained within the vessel, as if the ship itself were the source of the light. The water beneath it did not hiss or boil. It glided, slowly, deliberately. The captain sounded the horn, a deep, echoing blast that vibrated in my ribs. The burning ship did not react. Another blast. Still nothing. The glow intensified, turning the fog around it into a swirling halo. I could see details then, shadows moving along the deck of the phantom vessel, shapes that resembled figures, though they never separated fully from the fire. They did not wave for help. They did not run. They stood, facing us, watching. I felt it then. That peculiar certainty that we were not witnessing an accident. We were being witnessed in return. The ferry's engines strained. I could feel the shift in direction as the captain tried to alter course. But no matter how we turned, the burning ship remained just ahead, just beyond reach, keeping the same impossible distance. It was as though the fog had swallowed space itself and folded it wrong. A woman began to pray under her breath. Another passenger laughed too loudly and said it was a projection, some viral marketing stunt. But his voice cracked halfway through the sentence. The fire flared again, brighter than before, and in that blinding pulse I saw the deck of the phantom ship clearly. The figures were not moving. They were fixed in place, rigid, as if fused to the wood beneath them. And their faces were turned toward us, mouths open in expressions that were not screams, but something far worse. Expectation. The ferry lights flickered once, twice, and then went out. The world collapsed into darkness so complete it felt physical, like a hand over the eyes. Gasps broke out. Someone dropped a phone. The small rectangle of its screen shattered against the deck. In that darkness, the only light was the burning ship. Closer now. Close enough that I could see the texture of its hull. Close enough that I could see the fire moving not around the figures, but through them. The flames threaded through their bodies like veins of molten gold. Their forms shimmered, translucent and terrible. And then, in the silence between one heartbeat and the next, the fire vanished. Not faded, vanished. The fog rushed back into blackness. The deck lights snapped on. The engine roared steadily again, as if nothing had happened. There was no ship, no glow, no sign of disturbance on the water, only the ferry cutting through the ordinary dark. People began speaking at once, their voices frantic, overlapping. Cameras were checked, photos examined, but every screen showed the same thing: fog, darkness, nothing more. The captain came over the speaker once again. His voice was measured, professional. "There are no other vessels in our vicinity." No one argued, but we all knew what we had seen. When we reached port, the authorities dismissed it as atmospheric illusion, a trick of refracted light. Swamp gas over open water, someone joked. Social media buzzed briefly, then moved on to the next outrage, the next spectacle. Life returned to normal. I returned to normal, or so I believed. Until weeks later, standing at a grocery store checkout line, I caught a reflection in the convex security mirror above the aisle. For a split second, so brief I nearly doubted it, I saw behind me not shelves of cereal and bottled water, but fog. And in that fog, a flicker of orange. I turned, heart hammering. Nothing, just fluorescent lights and tired shoppers comparing prices. I told myself it was memory, trauma, the mind replaying a moment too strange to accept. But sometimes, late at night, when traffic outside my apartment dwindles and the city falls into that thin, unnatural quiet, I hear something beneath the hum of refrigerators and distant sirens. A low, resonant horn, far away, followed by a crackle, soft and insistent, like wood surrendering to flame. And I understand something now that I did not that night on the water. The burning ship was never crossing our path. It was marking us, choosing, waiting, because fire does not need to consume wood to survive. Sometimes it only needs to be seen. And once you have seen it, Once its light has found your eyes, it follows, patient as fog, silent as the deep, drifting just beyond the edge of your ordinary life, until one night, in the reflection of a window or the black mirror of your phone screen, you notice the faintest orange glow behind you, growing brighter and brighter and brighter.